Have you ever wondered why certain megastars remain elusive even after they've passed on? While some celebrity graves attract crowds and floral tributes year-round, others are kept hidden from public view by choice or necessity. Today, we're exploring the contrasting legacies of the famous, from legends who rest in unmarked plots to global icons whose tombs draw thousands of visitors. Let's dive into the secrets, the scandals, and the surprising truths behind these final resting places. Royalty, recluses, and the enigmatic J.D. Salinger remaining invisible. J.D. Salinger achieved literary fame largely through his classic novel, The Catcher in the Rye, which spoke to the disillusionment of youth. Yet, despite this cultural impact, Salinger remained fiercely private, retreating to a small town in New Hampshire and eschewing interviews or public appearances for decades. Upon his death in 2010, his family honored his lifelong desire for solitude by interring him in an unmarked grave. No grand monument, no large statue, just the quiet hush of rural New England, where visitors seldom realize they're near one of the most celebrated authors of the 20th century. The enigma surrounding Salinger didn't end with his final breath. Even after his passing, fans remained curious, hoping to discover not only the site of his grave, but also any unreleased manuscripts he may have left behind. Regardless of how many people search, his family has remained steadfast in protecting his wish to disappear from the public eye, even in death. Princess Diana, the secluded island of a global icon. A modern-day fairy tale turned tragedy, Princess Diana's story captured worldwide attention like few others. Her humanitarian efforts, open-hearted warmth, and well-documented struggles within the royal family made her a beloved figure. When news broke of her fatal car crash in 1997, millions around the globe wept openly, feeling as though they'd lost someone they personally knew. Despite her extraordinary fame, Diana was laid to rest in a private island grave on her ancestral estate, Althorpe. The secluded spot is out of reach for casual visitors, ensuring that media frenzy or tourist enthusiasm would not disturb her final resting place. Those paying their respects can visit a dedicated memorial on the estate, but the exact island is off limits. It was a deliberate move by her family, who wished for Diana to have peace in death that she rarely enjoyed in life. In this quiet sanctuary, her memory remains preserved from spectacle. Walt Disney, a family secret amid a media empire. Walt Disney pioneered the modern entertainment industry, transforming animation from novelty to global phenomenon. From Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to the creation of Disneyland, Disney's vision shaped childhoods around the world. Given his monumental legacy, one might expect a grand tomb or sprawling memorial in his name. Instead, Walt Disney's ashes are interred privately at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, in a family garden shielded from casual visitors. Over the years, conspiracy theories and odd rumors sprouted. Chief among them, the claim that Walt Disney had been cryogenically frozen. These tall tales underscore just how intensely people cling to the fantasies surrounding larger-than-life personalities. But the truth is far simpler. After his death in 1966, Disney was quietly cremated, and his family made sure no elaborate markers would invite massive crowds. In the end, the man who brought magic to millions was laid to rest in serene, unpublicized tranquility. The hidden legends, John Belushi, a quiet goodbye for a loud presence. To fans who adored his outrageous comedic style, The idea of John Belushi's grave being off-limits might seem contradictory. He was a force of nature, bursting with energy on Saturday Night Live and in films like Animal House and The Blues Brothers. He thrived on drawing big laughs, taking comedic risks, and living life at full throttle. Yet Belushi's passing at the age of 33 struck a chord in popular culture, becoming a cautionary tale about the pressures of fame and the dangers of excess. Initially, John Belushi was buried at a publicly marked site on Martha's Vineyard. The spot became so overrun with admirers leaving graffiti, litter, and other signs of disrespect that his family made a painful choice to move his remains to a more secluded area. Even in death, he never truly escaped his star status, but this relocation provided a semblance of peace. Today, only those who know precisely where to look can find his resting place, allowing friends, relatives, and devoted fans to share a quieter, more personal tribute to the man who revolutionized modern sketch comedy, Freddie Mercury, a voice that echoes in silence. Freddie Mercury, the legendary frontman of Queen, lived a life that was anything but ordinary. Bold, extravagant, and endowed with a voice that could command entire stadiums, Mercury captivated the world with hits like Bohemian Rhapsody and We Are the Champions. Off stage, he was famously private, carefully controlling the flow of personal information that reached the masses. When he passed away due to complications from AIDS in 1991, only one day after publicly confirming his illness, the global music community was left in shock. Mercury's final wish was to have his ashes scattered or placed in complete secrecy. His dear friend and one-time partner, Mary Austin, was entrusted with carrying out his instructions. To this day, the precise whereabouts of his remains remain unverified. Some speculate that he lies in his Kensington home garden. Others believe his ashes traveled back to his birthplace in Zanzibar or to an unmarked grave in London. No matter the truth, the secrecy surrounding his final resting spot reflects Mercury's lifelong preference. Let the art speak volumes, while the personal remains quietly untouchable. Betty White, protecting a national treasure. Betty White was more than a sitcom star. She was America's sweetheart. Beloved for her roles in The Golden Girls, The Mary Tyler Moore Show, and a host of other productions spanning 8 decades, her warm smile and razor-sharp wit never failed to light up a room. Even in her later years, she continued to attract audiences young and old, a testament to her timeless charisma. When she passed away mere weeks before turning 100, it felt as though a national treasure had been lost. True to her personality, Betty White opted for a simple, no-fuss private arrangement. She was cremated, and her ashes were kept by a close friend rather than placed in a public grave. In the end, her private farewell stood in stark contrast to the boundless love she shared on screen. This juxtaposition underscored her genuine humility. She spent her life bringing joy to millions, but in death, she chose a quiet exit, as if to say that her work was truly done. The public pilgrimage contrast. Marilyn Monroe, the diamond everyone still wants to see. Where Belushi's and Mercury's families pressed for privacy, Marilyn Monroe's resting place in Los Angeles is perpetually illuminated by fan tributes. Famous for her breathy voice, electrifying presence, and the tragic glamour that clung to her story, Monroe remains a cultural force. She rests at Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park, where her crypt is often adorned with lipstick-stained notes, fresh roses, and heartfelt messages from admirers. It's no exaggeration to say that her gravesite is one of the most visited celebrity memorials in the world. Despite her documented battles with loneliness and self-doubt, the public's fascination has never waned. Fans gather to feel closer to the mythic figure who balanced innocence and seduction with a poignant vulnerability. Every year, on the anniversary of her death, the crowd swells, illustrating how certain icons never truly fade away. Rudolph Valentino, the enduring Latin lover. When silent film star Rudolph Valentino died at just 31, hysteria ensued. Mobs of distraught fans caused near riots at his funeral in 1926, and his legend only grew from there. Buried at Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Los Angeles, Valentino's tomb remains a pilgrimage site for nostalgic fans of early cinema. Each anniversary of his passing sparks the famed Valentino Memorial, a formal ceremony celebrating the life and career of one of film's first true heartthrobs. The Lady in Black, an unknown mourner who used to place a single red rose at his grave for decades, became a legend herself, weaving further mystique around an already romanticized figure. Whether the story is fact or fiction, it endures because it captures the depth of devotion Valentino's fans feel. Even long after his final silent reel, the world still hears echoes of his captivating presence. Judy Garland, Rainbow's End in Hollywood, best remembered for her magical journey as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Judy Garland conquered hearts with her powerful singing voice, distinctive vibrato, and an emotional openness that made her seem both fragile and heroic. After years in a New York mausoleum, Garland's remains were relocated to Hollywood Forever Cemetery in 2017. Her family unveiled a grand marble memorial reflecting the unwavering adoration fans continue to bestow upon her. Visitors leave flowers, photos, and heartfelt letters, paying tribute to her life spent under intense public scrutiny, personal turmoil, and triumphant stage comebacks. Garland's grave has become something of a fan hub, especially on her birthday or the anniversary of her passing, as admirers from all over the globe gather to pay their respects. It's a scene reminiscent of her show-stopping concerts, powerful, emotional, and infused with an unbreakable bond between star and audience. The Unattainable Memorials. Dorothy Dandridge, a barrier breaker's private place. During Hollywood's golden age, few stars broke through racial barriers the way Dorothy Dandridge did. With her sultry voice, captivating screen presence, and groundbreaking role in Carmen Jones, she became the first African-American woman nominated for the Best Actress Oscar. Despite her historic achievements, Dandridge's career was stifled by prejudice, which limited the opportunities she deserved. In death, she rests at Forest Lawn in Glendale, California, in a reserved area known as the Garden of Honor. This prestigious section is notoriously exclusive, cordoned off from the prying public. While fans long to pay tribute to the woman who carried herself with such elegance and courage, they can't simply walk up to her gravesite. This controlled access ensures a measure of respect and protection. It's as though Dandridge finally receives, in death, the privacy and admiration that eluded her during her pioneering yet tumultuous life in Hollywood. Spencer Tracy, Elegance in Seclusion. Spencer Tracy was an actor who wore gravitas like a second skin. Known for iconic roles in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, Captain's Courageous, and many others, Tracy mastered a style of acting that felt completely natural, a trait that critics and audiences alike continue to celebrate. Off-screen, he was a man of complex faith, personal hardships and enduring devotion to his longtime partner, Katharine Hepburn, even while remaining legally married to his wife. Upon his death in 1967, Tracy was buried in a private part of Forest Lawn Memorial Park. His family chose a simple, unassuming memorial for him, reflecting the quiet dignity he often displayed in life. Fans hoping to honor him must settle for the broader cemetery grounds, as his secluded plot is not open to large gatherings. This subtle approach speaks volumes about the values he held dear: genuine artistry, intimate relationships, and the preference for life outside the bright glare of publicity. Corey Wells and James Garner, the choice to disappear. Corey Wells of Three Dog Night was beloved for his soulful rock vocals on hits like Mama Told Me Not to Come. When he passed away in 2015, the precise details of his burial remained elusive to the public. It's believed that his family deliberately kept his grave site private, possibly out of a wish to preserve a part of him that fans couldn't claim. In contrast to the sold-out arenas he once commanded, Wells's final sanctuary is a place of solitude. James Garner, famous for Maverick and the Rockford Files, was equally discreet about his final moments. A star admired for his relaxed charm and innate sense of justice, Garner was cremated, and his ashes were quietly held by his family. No glitzy monument or public funeral, just a simple farewell. This understated departure aligned perfectly with Garner's no-nonsense approach to Hollywood. A man who treasured authenticity over pageantry in every aspect of his life. The cult of the celebrity grave. Clark Gable, the king rests in regal splendor. Clark Gable, who reigned as the king of Hollywood through classics like Gone with the Wind and It Happened One Night, is another major draw for star-struck visitors. He lies in Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, a site known for hosting numerous giants of the silver screen. Although Gable's specific plot isn't designed as a tourist attraction, fans manage to find it, leaving roses or love notes with heartfelt words about his enduring charm. The simple dignity of his burial place contradicts the grand aura he exuded on screen. Gable's persona was built on rugged masculinity and witty sophistication, and it has stood the test of time. People visit year-round, but on his birthday or the anniversary of his death, the number of pilgrims often surges. The understated setting makes the experience more poignant, reminding visitors that this Hollywood king was ultimately a man with a private life beyond the camera's gaze. James Dean, frozen in eternal rebellion. James Dean's life ended abruptly at 24 when he crashed his Porsche Spyder on a lonely stretch of highway. Despite starring in just 3 major films, East of Eden, Rebel Without a Cause, and Giant, he became an immortal symbol of teenage angst and anti-establishment cool. Dean's grave in Fairmount, Indiana, is an unassuming plot in a modest Midwestern cemetery. But for fans, it's a sacred pilgrimage. Year after year, visitors leave everything from flowers and candles to old photographs and cigarettes. Some scribble messages of admiration and longing, seeing in Dean a reflection of their own youthful struggles. His rebellious image, frozen in black and white publicity shots, still resonates so powerfully that it transforms a small-town cemetery into a silent, emotional gathering place. Every time someone kneels at his grave, it's a reminder of how swiftly life's spark can vanish, and how potent that spark can remain long after it's gone. Charlie Chaplin, the clown who couldn't be silenced. Few performers have impacted cinema the way Charlie Chaplin did. With his iconic bowler hat, cane, and the expressive eyes of the little tramp, Chaplin orchestrated a revolution in silent film comedy, one that also held a mirror to social and political injustices. He spent his later life in Switzerland, where he is buried at Coursiers-sur-Vevey Cemetery, near the pristine waters of Lake Geneva. His grave became infamous in 1978, when a pair of grave robbers exhumed his coffin, demanding ransom. Authorities eventually apprehended them, and Chaplin's body was laid to rest once more, this time secured in a reinforced grave. Modern-day tourists flock to pay homage to the comedic genius, leaving behind flowers, heartfelt notes, and sometimes bowler hats to symbolize his beloved character. In these offerings, one can sense the deep gratitude felt by generations who discovered that laughter could be both a weapon and a balm, lasting legacies and private goodbyes. Humphrey Bogart, subtle yet unmistakable. In a town built on polish and presentation, Humphrey Bogart stood out for his gritty authenticity. From the Maltese Falcon to Casablanca, he played tough men who carried hidden depths beneath a cynical exterior. The real Bogart, however, was a private individual who preferred to keep his personal life under wraps. He died in 1957, and his ashes now rest at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale. A modest plaque marks the spot, etched with a favorite line from his life on and off the screen. Though the marker is relatively small and unflashy, fans still gather there, leaving behind tokens that speak to his classic swagger, cigars, whiskey miniatures, or notes quoting lines from his most famous roles. The subdued memorial reflects Bogart's quiet dignity, reminding us that a star's personal ethos can shine through even after the cameras stop rolling. Bette Davis. She did it her way. Bette Davis lived her life with unwavering determination and an iron will, known for All About Eve, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and countless other cinematic achievements. She forged a trail for actresses who demanded stronger, more complex roles. Fiercely outspoken and unafraid to spar with Hollywood executives, she exemplified an era's shift toward female autonomy in entertainment. Davis's resting place at Forest Lawn, Hollywood Hills, carries the famous inscription, "She did it the hard way." It's a fitting tribute to her relentless spirit. While her grave is accessible, visitors report a uniquely reverent atmosphere. Many leave roses or symbolic tokens of admiration. Despite her inimitable power on screen, the site is remarkably calm, offering a space for reflection on Davis's outstanding career and the sacrifices she made to keep artistic integrity front and center. Elizabeth Taylor, elegance in eternal repose. Elizabeth Taylor was as close as one could get to Hollywood royalty. With her dazzling violet eyes, multiple marriages, and iconic roles like Cleopatra, she embodied the glamour and drama of a bygone era. Yet toward the latter part of her life, she devoted immense energy to HIV/AIDS activism, a humanitarian side that often overshadowed the cinematic image of a star draped in diamonds. When Taylor passed away in 2011, she left instructions that her funeral begin fashionably late, a final wink to her lifelong flair for theatrical timing. She rests in the great mausoleum at Forest Lawn, Glendale, protected from intrusive fans and tabloids. While the location is known, the actual crypt is cordoned off, fulfilling her wish for a discreet farewell. In the end, she balanced her public generosity with a private departure, revealing once more her gift for commanding attention on her own terms. Jean Harlow, the bombshell's last curtain, Jean Harlow's star burned brightly during the 1930s. Dubbed the blonde bombshell, she delighted audiences in films like Platinum Blonde and Dinner at 8, capturing the era's ideal of glamorous rebellion. But her life was cut short at just 26 due to kidney failure, plunging Hollywood into mourning at the peak of her fame. Harlow was laid to rest in a monumental white marble crypt at Forest Lawn, Glendale. Even decades later, the crypt remains a magnet for fans intrigued by her stunning screen presence, tumultuous love life, and tragic early death. Adorned with flowers and personal messages, the area around her crypt reflects ongoing devotion to a star who left an imprint on cinematic history despite such a brief career. For many, visiting Jean Harlow's grave is a way to touch the golden era of Hollywood, if only for a moment. Tracing the final steps of these larger-than-life figures reveals a powerful insight. Fame doesn't always translate to grand public memorials or open-door grave sites. For every Marilyn Monroe, whose crypt is perpetually showered with tokens of love, there's a John Belushi or J.D. Salinger, whose families safeguard their final resting places from the throng of curious onlookers. Each approach offers its own kind of legacy. Public shrines become hallowed destinations for fans, while private burials reflect a longing for solitude and the right to say goodbye on personal terms. In the end, our fascination with hidden graves or highly visited tombs tells a story about us as well. We're drawn to the mystery, the legend, and the possibility of forging a closer connection to individuals whose work shaped our culture. Yet we also recognize that even the brightest stars might yearn for the quiet hush of anonymity when the curtain finally falls. Ask yourself, if you stood in their shoes, would you choose a secluded resting place far from the crowds, or a visible monument where the world could continue to pay tribute? It's a personal choice that speaks volumes about how these stars balance the demands of public life and the serenity of private existence. Perhaps the real takeaway is that legacies aren't confined to physical places. They live on in the songs we hum, the films we cherish, and the timeless impact these legends leave on our hearts. Wherever you stand on the matter, one thing is crystal clear: the stories of these hidden sites and bustling memorials serve as poignant reminders of the fragile line between celebrity and ordinary life, between the public's desire to remember and the individual's wish for final peace. In that quiet space of remembrance lies the true soul of a legend, shining brightly long after the last spotlight dims.